Okay, folks, good morning. Kind of a different view, little bird's eye view here of my work area, which really needs to be cleaned up, but I did manage to push some things out of the way. I will work on that today, but not right now. It's going to make a little bit more noise than I need to be making at this moment. So I pulled out all my Soviet vehicles. As I got the T-34s, the three T-34s done yesterday. And I'm going to try to take some pictures in the daylight today. Although I think it's going to be rainy, so that might not really work. But it's hard to take pictures of stuff for me. I don't have a whole lot of patience. I'll try something 4 or 6 times, and after that I just give up, and here's the pictures that you guys get and move on, because they never turn out what they look like in real life. But so we're going to kind of take an inventory on what I have T-34 wise, because I specifically built these 3 T-34s that I finished for a scenario. There's a scenario in the skirmish campaign books that have 3 T-34s in them. And the early one, I think that's, none of the scenarios have more than 3 T-34s, which, you know, they all take place in opening stages of Barbarossa. I've got 3 or 4 skirmish campaign books that take place on that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's these books. They've been around a while. They're excellent. I highly recommend them. And here's one, for instance, Ghosts of Smolensk. And in here is listed, other than the history and stuff, the order of battle for both sides. They have kind of a core force and additional stuff that you can get randomly based on a D20 die roll. And they're excellent. They each have about, a dozen or so, and the layout of what the board looks like in squares. And the square is supposed to represent a foot. So this happens to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 board. So I went through here and I kind of listed all the vehicles that you need of both sides for these scenarios. The mandatory Germans and another one for the Russians, which it's sticky and it went away. But if all these early ones, none of them take more than 3 T-34s. So that's why I built those specific T3 T-34s for that. I'm going to take an inventory. Here's another one. Here's the 1941 into... Oh, here's the piece of paper that disappeared. Yeah. So, Ghost of Smolensk. Here's the layout of what all the scenarios take. So you have to have 3 BT-7s, a couple trucks, a BT-7 command, 2 KV-2s, and 3 T-34s. There they are. There's the 3 T-34s. And optionals is 3 more BT-7s. So you could have up to 6 BT-7s. 2 BA-10s, another truck, so it'd be 1 truck plus 2, 3 trucks total, a staff car, and a KV-1. So I did that with several of these early books. So this one, Ghost of Smolensk, you can tell that the Soviets that they encounter are BT-7s, a few T-34s, and some KV-2s, which possibility of getting a 1 KV-1. If you look at into the Ukraine, can have the same T-34s, 3 of them, a T-28, 3 trucks, 6 mandatory BT-7s, which, you could mix in BT-5s in there as well if you need to. 6 of them, that's a shitload. for a skirmish game. You know, if you want to play the scenarios as they're designed. A couple BA-10 armored cars, 2 KV-1s, a KV-2, a flamethrower 26, 2 T-26s, and a T-35. The big nasty. Then if you want the optional stuff as well, you could add up potentially up to 4 more BT-7s. So I could, you know, if I really wanted to do a lot of BT-7s, I could just go hog wild, which I really like the look of BT-7. I guess technically they're called BT-7Ms, and sometimes they're referred to in other sources as BT-8s. And that is the last version of the BT series that's very, it almost looks T-34-ish. It's very slender looking. I think they're very attractive vehicle, looking wise. So, T-34 wise, early T-34 wise, I've got them all painted for these scenarios. They don't make any books in 1942. They jump to 1943. Now, they make 2 books for 1943. Both of them are Kursk related. One of them is Germans on the offense and the counterattack. So, Grossdeutschland at Kursk, and then Red Guard's counterattack. This one is all, since it's Grossdeutschland, it's all on the bottom part of the Kursk salient. This one, I believe, all takes part in the north. So, I am going to do an inventory of T-34s with some of the later models, and I want to see what I have of what. And I know I have about 8 to 10 of each model. I'm going to go through and see what later model T-34s I need and start prepping those and do 3 or 4 of them next. In between doing the modeling stuff, because right now I'm kind of at a standpoint with the modeling that I was working on this armored car. I'm trying to get these pieces lined up, and I got one of them done. So I'm doing one joint at a time. So it might not be until tomorrow morning where I can go back to working on the armored car, but she's about done. You know, we just need to have that funny aerial on there. So I can't paint the T-34s yet because I've got to spray them black. So there's some prep work I'm going to do. So I figured I'd bring you guys along with me to do that prep work. So I'm not worried about the German vehicles at this point. I got tons of Panzer IIIs and shit like that. Mainly just want to do some more Soviet vehicles, some of the later ones. Mainly what they used to call, what the Germans called the Mickey Mouse T-34s. And that's the hexagonal turreted ones that have the 2 openings. Instead of one big hatch, like these T-34s have, which is one big hatch that the loader and the commander would all access there. It is the 2 separate round hatches. That was more typical at Kursk. Like I said, there's no scenario books between the 2. But anyhow, so I just wanted to look through here and see what kind of amount of T-34s max I would need. I'm thinking the number is going to be 6. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just specifically interested in the T-34s per se. I know I'm probably going to come across some Su-152s. I don't have any of those. So, don't have any of those yet. So let's worry about what I do have and inventory that. This should not take long, and then we will pull out the huge bag, the huge containers of T-34s, and do an actual analysis of what we have. So what we're going to do is just go through the scenarios here, and not all the scenarios have tanks in them. This one, Prelude, I know for a fact does not have tanks in it at all. It is literally, the Germans have 2 infantry squads and a platoon headquarters, and the Soviets have a forward observation team, 1 rifle squad, and a machine gun team. So they're relatively small scenarios. And some of them just have tons of stuff in them. So just looking for, we're going to put on here mandatory. And then we're going to put on here optional. Hill 247. This one definitely has some vehicles in it. 2 T-34s. What I do is use circles. I want to be consistent. I did. 2 T-34s here. Nothing else. Okay. Six T-34s. So 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put on here T-70s as well, because I came really close to ordering some Plastic Soldier Company T-70s. But, oh, I'll go ahead and do all vehicles. KV-1, 2 of them potentially. Okay. 6 T-34s, don't have to list them again. There's already 6 of them. Su-76s. 2 of those. Okay, and here's a T-34 Command. Also order this roll. So I'm going to put on here T-34 Command. Because you could potentially have 7 in that scenario. Crippled Tiger. This is a cool scenario. Crippled Tiger has a board that's 2x4. So it's a relatively small board. There's a ravine in the middle of it. And there's a tiger that's broken down. And one side has to prevent... one side has to get a repair crew over there to get it running, and the other, and the Soviets have to prevent them from being taken out. So this is a really small scenario. You've got a tiger that's knocked out, and a salvage crew, which is basically a crew leader and 5 mechanics in a truck, and the tiger crew. And the Soviets have a recon platoon headquarters, which is a couple guys with pepechas, and a recon squad, which is 8, 9 guys with a mixture of pepechas and rifles. So that's kind of an interesting little scenario. That's a good scenario for the first time trying this game. That might be a good one for that. Here's one that has the Panther D's in it. But we're not worried about that. 2 Su-76s. Okay, and then optional 2 T-34s. I'm not going to put them here on optional because you're not using these 3 T-34s at the same time that you're using these 6. So they could be the same batch. But there is an Su-122 down here. One of them. Okay. Steel Confrontation. I was thinking the number was 6. Here's 3 T-34s. Here's 3 more. Here's 3 more. Wow. Here's the 3 T-70s. We already got them. And a Command. We have that. Okay, so now we could have up to 10 T-34s. Okay. That's good. There's a difficult one to pronounce. Verkopenia Woods. 6 T-34s, 3 T-70s. Potentially 3 more, that's 9. We have at least 9 here. We're good. Okay. That is the Soviets on the defense. The bottom part of the salient. This part down here. Now we're going to go up here. And I suspect this is Großdeutschland at Kursk. I highly recommend these books. And they run, well, they used to be about $15 a piece. I think they're closer to $30 now. They even want to have one that has Africa Corps in it, and that's been tempting, but we'll get to Africa eventually at some point. No vehicles in this scenario. Red recon. Not reconning with any vehicles. Breaching alliance. Gotta be vehicles in there. Nope. What do I know? No vehicles. Iron wedge. You can't have something called iron wedge and not have things made of iron. Alright, so I'm going to flip this. These may end up being very similar pieces of paper. Red guards at Kursk. Okay, and again, mandatory and optional. So mandatory, we have T-34s, 1, 2, 3, T-70s, 1, 2, 3. Okay, optional, T-34, 1, 2, 3. All right. Holding back the tide. I'm going to list the T-34 command separately, because that might be a vehicle that will make one that looks kind of cool for the commander's vehicle. 3 T-34s, a T-70. 3 more here, I already have them. Here's the Su-152. What do they call that thing? Zvitterboy? Beast or animal killer? Okay, 3 T-34s, 3 more. Okay, now we're up to 6. Here's the 3 T-70s. 3 more T-34s, they're there. And I'm not going to list the T-34 command because there's already one here. And it's not also in the same battle, so it'd be the same way. There's a camouflage scheme I saw of a T-34. And it's an earlier one. It's not a 1942 model, and it's beautiful. It's almost like this color and white, and it's a winter camouflage, and it is just gorgeous. You know, it's beautiful like some of the Soviet late war aircraft, like the Yaks that had some of these icy colors on them. Just a beautiful paint scheme. We might have to do one of those. Marcus Childress, good morning. Doing a little bit of reconnaissance here in what we need to build. Here's the famous T-70s. Looks like those 3 T-70s got definitely something I should get at some point. Just a T-34 command. I'm not going to list it down here, and we got plenty of those. Okay. Panzer Repulsed. 3 T-70s. Here's an Su-152. 3 T-34s. That doesn't add anything. Steel Tide. This is actually a scenario that I think I'm going to do probably maybe as the beginning scenario on the Eastern Front. And basically what it is that you have this board that's 3x4. You have an anti-tank ditch across it behind a line of barbed wire. And you got some that disappears into some light woods and a wooden fence. The Germans set up on this side. Soviets come in. The Soviets come in to the tune of two T-34s with tank riders. That's it. You got 2 tanks, and you've got 8 guys on each tank clambering on the outside. That's what the T-34. That's what the Soviets have, and the Germans have an infantry squad and a platoon headquarters. And they could potentially have a 50 millimeter anti-tank gun. I don't know why they don't give them a 75, but I guess this is a static infantry division, and it's kind of shitty. But that's kind of a nice, simple scenario. Final line. Here is the 6 T-34s, 3 T-70s, 3 more T-34s. Okay, that's both books. So, if I want to get the forces built for either of the scenarios that are in there, We need a lot of T-34s. I bet I have them all. And it sounds crazy, but I bet I do. And they're none of these. They're the later models. I mean, you could substitute one of them if you had to, but why? So this is the big one. It's basically, if you build everything in Grossdeutschland and Kursk for the Soviets, all you would have to add is an Su-152, and you have everything for this. Okay, let's set this off to the side. Let's do a deep dive into the Soviets. Let's talk about some stuff that's not T-34s, that's also Soviets. I've got this T-34-85 that I never finished. And I think I'm going to repaint it. Or it's fine, it's just not... I don't think I need to repaint it. I just need to give it some edging that make the edges pop, and it'll be fine. T-34-85. This is 1/72nd scale. And the hull of both of these should be the same size. This is 1/76th. You can see it's significantly bigger. But will I use them in a game together? Sure. It's just a playing piece. You know, my preference is actually this scale. I prefer 1/72nd to 1/76th. The figures are overscale. You know, here's a 20mm figure. They're on the large size. So they look better with these vehicles. But I use them both interchangeably. And then we have a JS2. This is a BP cast model. Originally it was all this color. And I was painting it at the same time I was painting the T-34-85. I just need to give it a freshen up. And I was painting this about 2 years ago. Or maybe a year ago or something like that. And then I went back to painting my 15. So we're going to finish her up. And it is kind of a rough model. But this is a very kind of a crude stuff from them. But no reason it can't be used. You have a PST model of a JSU-122. This is actually pretty nice detail. This was kind of a beast to put together because of some of the pieces didn't fit together just great. And it's a very hard plastic. It's almost sharp. And the instructions were just poor. But I think it ends up being a pretty cool looking vehicle. 1/72nd scale. So. And then we got something I got a long time ago. When the Soviet Union broke apart, there was this company called Primo, made in Russia, and these are actually HO scales, so they're 1/87th. They're smaller, and I've had these for a long time. I've done nothing with them. They're not painted. They come molded in this color. And I'm thinking of using these guys because I have them anyways. You know, they're small, whatever. They're just plain pieces. It's either that or I don't use them. So I really don't have anything to lose. And this is a couple of T-28s. One of them with a more rounded turret and conical turret. And a T-28 I think is bigger than a T-34. But even with a 1/76 scale, it's not terrible. I think it's totally usable. Had some of those 1/87th. Okay, I think I'm going to use them. You know, they're decent looking. I think they'll paint up great. So they're a little on the small side. It's either that or don't use them. And when I want to use a T-28, I got to go buy one that costs about $25 and put it together. What's the worst thing that could happen? I paint these things. I don't like how they look. I think I'm gonna use them. Because the other thing I have is this monster, which doesn't look like much of a monster when it's 1/87th, but here she is, the big nasty, the T-35, and it's a nice model. It's got rivets on it and everything. It's already put together. Is it a model if it's already put together? So, I think we're going to end up using them. You know, there's no point in not using it. So, just figured I'd show you that. And then there's some spare parts that it came with them. I don't know what the hell they go to. I'm going to have to consult my visual references that we have a lot more of now than before and do that. But they've got like the red stars engraved in the top of the turret. Pretty cool. Not engraved, it would be, it's sticking out. That was my favorite. Need some of those for Dub No Brody scenarios. You like the T-35s, huh? Well, it's something unique. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I have no T-26s, so we will get some T-26s at some point. Especially since I was really happy with how these Soviet vehicles turned out. All right, let's get these guys off the table. I got 2 boxes of this stuff. Let's do the least interesting one first. Let's do the least interesting one first. Because I do want to take a look at one thing. And all of this stuff that's coming out is stuff I got from... This happens to be from 2 different people at an estate sale. 2 different estate sales at the last convention. A couple older gentlemen passed. Well, one of them was an older gentleman, one was not. And their family was selling off their stuff. And there was these die-cast SU-100s. I'm actually not a fan of really late war stuff, but I have a lot of it, so I'm like, well, might as well use it. This thing looks massive. But this is a T-34 hull, so is it about the same size of this? I think it is. This just looks massive. The width is about the same. Yeah, I think it matches up the 72nd scale pretty good. This is a company called, I want to say it's Eagle Moss. This is what they came in. Somewhere here it says what the hell it is, but these come pre-painted like this. We're not going to leave them white. We're gonna spray them black, and maybe we'll do some whitewash, but we're not doing the 1944-45 stuff first. Those are in there, and they come with rubber band type tracks or what have you. So that's one thing about rubber band type tracks is it makes it a lot easier if you put these guys on stands. It protects those rubber band tracks that are kind of flimsy to begin with a lot better. So I wanted to show you that, and I wanted to compare it to a T-72 to a 1/72nd scale tank. All right, let's do a deep dive. And actually, if I had a pair of gloves, I'd probably do this because these things are full on lead, and I'm not paranoid about shit like that, but when you start handling a bunch of stuff and your hands look like you've been fighting with a big piece of graphite, it does make you wonder. Maybe it'll cure this sinus thing I got going on. Lead poisoning. So, we have this container that is full of, and I did this in an unboxing, but I didn't take a legitimate inventory of how many I have of each one. And I don't want to get too far along down the rabbit hole and not have them. Now, I mentioned this in one of my, when I was painting these T-34s. I don't know if you can see this, but let's bring it a little closer. I put my glasses on so I can see what you guys are seeing. A lot of these hulls have this machine gun that's cast in. I don't know if you can see it, but it's cast in there, but it has a piece of flash where it's connected to the hull all the way to the bottom. So it just looks like trash. It's just too big. If you were doing something like micro armor, I could buy that. But these are just they're just too large to have this. So I ended up carving that piece out, which wasn't as easy as I would have thought it would have been, and just replacing the machine gun with a piece of sprue, and that worked fine. But it was kind of an unexpected pain in the ass to do. So let's take an inventory of what we have here. I know I have about 10 of each one. These are the complete kits, and then I have some spare parts of other ones. So I kind of need to see what we got here. So based on the code 194A, this is a... I'm actually going to go ahead and get a Sharpie and write on here what it is. This is a model 1941. Okay, so we got one of them. Here's another A. Which these things are useful all the way. They had a few of them in Invasion of Barbarossa. As you can see, I built one of them all the way through Stalingrad, all the way through 42 and stuff. And I got a lot of my stuff for 42, so these guys are very useful. They're probably the least attractive of the T-34 models, I think. Just how they look, they're just kind of, you know. Some of these versions ended up having handles on the turret and the whole sides for infantry that would for tank riders. I won't be replacing any of those. That's extremely finicky, but it does add to the look. It seems like we have a metric ton of these. Okay. And then these are the B. This is 49. So this is the Mickey Mouse ones that we're looking at. What I mean by Mickey Mouse is the top of the turret has two openings, two separate hatches. One for a loader, one for the commander. And this is what you would see at Kursk. This would be the more common one at Kursk. Okay, so this is what they call the model 1942. And then there was an in-between version that was a 41, 42, and we don't have any of those. There's one of those. Another one of those. I hope that these are the ones I need like 9 of. Well, the reality is I could probably substitute some of them, but I want the vast majority of them to be this kind. Now, unfortunately, between this model and this one, the tracks changed on the tanks. They went to a waffle pattern track. So they went from basically like these plates, which if you look at a close-up of one, it almost looks like you took tin roof and made it out of it. It's very rudimentary. And went to a later pattern waffle, which has a lot of like detail in it. It's actually kind of ugly, to be honest with you. Here is just a 194, which this is the model 40, 1940. This is an M 1940. This is the early one, which they only made about 400 of them. Here's another early one. A B. That's this one. This is just a 194. Here's another B. Here's another 194. And here's another 194. Okay. Because I'm going to put these away. But I want to take an inventory count of what we have here. So, we're going to call these Skytrex because it's easier to... Hinchcliffe Skytrex. I think Hinchcliffe was they were in cahoots. One of them was owned by the other one. I want to say, let's see, what is he looking back? Skytrex Limited Hinchcliffe model kits. Hinchcliffe models are a Skytrex product. Okay, so Skytrex is the parent company. So we're going to put on here Skytrex. Okay, and then we're looking for how many model 1940s we have left. how many model 1941s we have left, and how many model 1942s we have. Okay, and this is the 41s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's put them in. Let's put them back in the bag. In the box. The 1940s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 of them. And then what's going to get really interesting is the pieces parts, because I have a lot of pieces parts. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. Okay. Now we can put this away. Man, this cough won't quit. I'm going to take these 2 Eagle Moss SU-100s out of here, along with the tracks, and the rest of this is pieces parts. And this is literally how I bought it. I ended up buying everything they had. Got a good deal on them, and they didn't want it. They didn't want to look at the stuff anymore. So here you give you a good idea of the waffle track situation. See this? This is the waffle track pattern. It's very different from this. All right? So let's take a look. There are some complete kits in here, which I should probably put them in the other box since they're complete. These are unique. This is SHQ miniatures. They're also 1/76 scale. And I wish I had a small table. All right, we'll grab it back up again. And these, I'm going to actually open one of these up so you see what it is. But, yeah, these retailed for, back when, for like $16. I didn't get them for $16. That would not have been tempting. These actually come with a mixture of turrets. These are also the Model 42 tanks, so the ones we want at Kursk. However, they give you 2 different turrets. One of them is a turret made at a factory that's kind of unique. There's many different turrets that they made for T-34s, but there's 3 main ones. You have the standard ones that were pretty much built everywhere. You had the ones that were made in Stalingrad, were this model tank. It was actually a 41-42 model tank. And the rear plate here was a little different. Hey there. Welcome. Hey, we're talking about your Homeland's tanks here. So there was 3 main tanks. There was the standard turrets. They made some in Stalingrad that had, this back plate was a little different. And then there was a factory that got moved out to the Urals. The Chelyabinsk factory. And they had a unique turret, kind of a soft edge turret. And this is the other turret that comes in here. And it looks significantly different. It's pretty cool looking. We'll see what comes on here. So yeah, this comes with the later pattern waffle tracks. This is what we want to see. And it has a mixture of steel road wheels and some rubber rimmed ones. The 2 on the end were rubber rimmed, and that's just to kind of soften the ride a little bit. They found that with the all steel road wheels, they saved on rubber, but a lot of the pieces were just, it was a pain to be inside there when that thing was rolling. So it comes with a waffle pattern tracks, really nicely molded road wheels, and 2 turrets. This is the Chelyabinsk one. It's a little, instead of being hard edge, it's kind of a soft edge. So 6 of those other ones are all this style turret. So it is quite likely that I will use all of the Chelyabinsk turrets when I build these tanks. It's quite likely that's what I'm going to do. And this is what it looks like. Same Mickey Mouse situation there with the hatches. So we're going to call this and instructions. And they call this a Model 43, which is incorrect. The Model 43 would have had a cupola on the Commanders. Those are all post-curse. They didn't come out until like September 43. So those didn't come out at a time period until the Soviet. There's a period in the Soviet tanks where kind of really not as good as the Germans, and it's a very short period. It's basically from Kursk all the way to until the T-34 85s come out. So early 44. Because during that period, the Germans are starting to crank out Panthers. Not in huge numbers, but they're coming out. And they have older tanks that can be dealt with. But they only have a 76 millimeter gun. So a 76 millimeter gun in the front of a Panther is a problem. They can deal with the Panzer 3s and 4s just fine, which there's plenty of them left over. But that's kind of the low point. You do stuff like in 44, 45, and the Soviets, I mean, an 85 millimeter gun is nothing to laugh at. It'd pretty much take out anybody. Except some beasts. Oh, look at that. We got a hole there that's missing. So we're going to call this SHQ. I don't know why I would have put that. Ooh, old eraser. Old eraser that hasn't been used in a long time. This is model 1942. I think it's CHTZ, the abbreviation for it. I could be wrong. We have one of those. All right, so let's put this thing back. And there's all kinds of different things to put on here. This is a really nice, I really like this running gear. It's really pretty. And these are 1/76 scale as well. So, you know, if they were a different scale, it wouldn't matter that much to me. I'm going to mix them freely. I have them. So these retail for like $15. I paid like $5 for each, and the pieces parts ended up just like throwing them in. So I didn't spend that. They were inexpensive enough that I just couldn't leave them not get them. So, and there's lots of different paint schemes you could do with the Soviets, you know. So, looking forward to doing that for sure. Especially, like I said, these other three vehicles turned out I'm really, really happy with. All right, so pulling this back up. Here's another. Oh, that's something different. Let's not even get into that. See if I can find another. Complete set. That's another different animal. Is that all the complete sets that we have? The rest of it's just pieces, parts. I do need to take an inventory on the pieces, parts. That's one of those animals. I thought I had opened up another one. Let's see what we got here. So you put a couple of these together. When we get some daylight, I can spray them black and start working on them this weekend. Let's see what we got here. Some of these things are started, and this should have all this stuff together. Okay, here's another one of these, like the one I just opened up. Let's make sure everything's in there. Yeah, another Chelyabinsk tank here with the 2 turrets. So we're gonna got another one of those. Okay. And what's this? This is the different animal, I believe. And these actually have tools and stuff on the side, spare tracks. They're nice. They're nice models. This is the other thing I have. This is another animal. I have some T-34 85s. And they're going to look a lot smaller than the 72nd scale one, but I only have one of the 72nd scale. So, this is what? This is an SHQ T-34 85, one of them. And this has all rubber road wheels. And this running gear is beautiful. It almost looks like heavy-duty bicycle tires, but they look really good. They're all rubber-rimmed. I don't mind having the T-34 85s. I've got a few Panthers and late model 4s. They need somebody to play with. All right. Here's another unopened T-34 85. These only come with 1 turret. This is another unopened T-34 85. This is another unopened T-34 85. That has an A written on it. The other ones have an A as well. Yeah. There are other variants of the T-34 85 turret. There's the early one, which the gun mounted almost directly to the turret. It didn't have almost like a part that tapered down. Kind of rare. They only made a few of those. And then they had a composite type of turret as well, which I don't think any of these would have. Okay, so this is what we have complete kits. So what do we have of incomplete kits? Which is really what I should do next, is put this stuff together so we can see what we're dealing with. Let me think. Be right back. Let me get some little bags to sort this stuff and put complete sets together. Just a second. Be right back. Now, I know for a fact that some of these are going to need repair. Meaning they got broken gun barrels, etc. So, let's get Yeah, I guess some of you enjoying this nonsense. Okay, hulls. Let's take a look at hulls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, that's 10 more tanks. All right, so let's break these hulls into different categories. Having just painted 3 of them, I recognize this not as one of the ones that I did. Okay, because the SHQ one, I believe this is the hull for the SHQ one. Yep, it's got tools and stuff in it. So this is an SHQ Mickey Mouse style one. Now, is it a T-34-85 one? Let's make sure that it is not. No, the T-34-85 one has extra armor plates and stuff like that there. It's not that one. What scale? They're 176 scale, or as they like to be called, 20 millimeter. Yeah, they're pretty heavy. You don't want to drop one of these on your foot, because it'll land on the top of your foot, which pretty much anything will hurt it. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you, these SHQs have separate little hooks, towing hooks. I'll guarantee I won't have them. So I'll just have to fill them in, and it doesn't bother me any, you know. So this is the Chelyabinsk set. Okay, this is a Skytrex. This is a Skytrex with the round one. Yeah, which reminds me, does the 1942 Skytrex have the same hull as the other one? It does. It does. And it has the wrong, they didn't have this pattern tracks on it, but no War Games models. I think I'll be able to deal with it. Okay, so these could be either the 1941 or the 42 from Skytrex. We'll find out what we end up having to make them. This is another Chelyabinsk SHQ. This is another one of these. And these are very crude compared to the SHQ. But I painted 3 of these and they turn out just fine, so 3 of those. This is another one of these. This is a T-34-85. It's got the added armor plate. Well, I could probably mix them together, but I'm just kind of trying to separate them into what these kits, because this person apparently took a bunch of kits out and was working on stuff, and then they passed away, and they just, when they went to go sell his stuff, they just threw it in a box. So I'm trying to discern what all this stuff is. And some of them we're going to cut off the what do you call them, like I did here, or someone did. I don't remember if I did it or someone else did it. I think the other person probably did it. You know, here's a fender that they took off. So this is the T-34-85. This is the T-34-85. This is a model 1940 because it has the square access point in the back. So really, this is the earliest one. This is the earliest one. Then the next one is that one. Then the next one is these. Then the T-34-85s are those. Okay? Here's another T-34-85, and here's another T-34-85. Okay. That's all the holes that I have. So let's get all the parts together to make a 1940, right? Because that makes sense. I got a lot of loose ends here. Okay? So we're looking for a turret for a 1940. Here it is. Okay? 2 running, and actually it was helpful that I built 3 of them. That was actually really helpful, so I know what parts to go in them really well. We need 2 sets of tracks. And the nice thing is they go both ways, so you can't have too many of one. You could just flip them if you need it the other way. If you need a mirror image. And we need a hatch, which I may not have, but I do. And this one's good to go. So I'm going to bag this guy. And here's a model, 1940. And I will add 1 to the total here, and I'm going to put it in the bag. So the next 1940 one I'm going to do that one because it's already, you know, in a bag. Okay? Excellent. Next. Let's see how many model 1941s we have. Here's one. That's a Mickey Mouse. And it's a Mickey Mouse Skytrex because it has the center point like that. So these share the same hull. So they don't really fit on there really well. You have a lot of openings. So these 3 are going to have to share these turrets that we're going to come up with. This is a Skytrex turret. Here's the other version of it. So that is not the Skytrex, SHQ. This is a T-34 turret, and a lot of these have the gun broken off, which we can glue them back on. I got spare guns. Here's a complete turret. Here's a complete turret. Here's a complete turret. Here is another Mickey Mouse. This is a SHQ. Here's a hatch for that. Here's another option for the SHQ. Okay, so one of these is going to be a Model 41. We need 2 sets of tracks. I mean, we need 2 tracks. I don't care if they're these broken ones. Some of these are broken like this. That'll work just fine. And that's complete. And we can add one of those to here. And that goes in there. So the next one of those I build will be that one. Okay, 2 Mickey Mouse ones. SHQs. I mean, Skytrex. Got some hatches that are floating around here. Let's pull them out. This is 2 tanks, so we need 4 pieces of that early running gear. Even though it's incorrect, that's what it would have come with. Here's one. Here's another. Here's one. hopefully a broken piece in here somewhere. And here's another. So we have that broken piece floating around here somewhere. I literally took everything off of them, so what's this person? Here it is. Okay, so one of these has these two. The other one has these two. This turret goes there. This turret goes here. What else comes with this one? I haven't built one of these. This is extremely constructive, what I'm doing. Okay, I believe these are the hatches. I should have two hatches. They're this style, which look at the same as that style. So this is a set there, and it has this low type of commander. And then this one goes with this. We just need one set of this stuff here. I was trying to do this at the convention when I was buying it. Like, okay, how many sets do you have here? And I'm like, F it, let me just take it all. It was just too complicated. I don't know if that's the right number of those things, but okay. Helping to solve the riddle here. So this will all go here. This is a complete set. Now the interesting thing is the earlier versions have these fuel boxes they had on the back. And they're in the Model 41s, which they were more common to these guys. So we can switch those. So this is a Model 42. Put that complete. And we're just going to take a baggie for this one because I don't want it open-ended. And then this is complete. Now, I'm coming across something interesting that's about to happen. But luckily I already have a solution for it. I don't remember if I listed this one or not. If I'm off by one, I'm off by one. All right, we got two SHQs here. Here's the two turret options for this one. Or I should say, see, here's the fuel boxes they have. Just tell me I got two hatches. I got two hatches there, I got two hatches there. Excellent. So this one is the Hex turret. So we're going to drop a Chelyabinsk in here. Come on. And then this one's a Chelyabinsk, so we're going to drop a Hex one in here. And there's some scenarios that are almost heavily armor, so okay, so each one of these gets one of these. We need two running gears that would have a mixture of parts between the solid and the rubber-coated road wheels. Not the all-rubber ones, but the mixture of the two. So we need 4 of those. Except they might not be they might not go both ways. So here is a T-34 85 with all rubber, all rubber, all rubber, all rubber. Here's a mixture one broken, totally fixable. Here is a mixture one. Here's an all rubber, mixture. Need one more mixture here. Is this a mixture? It is. 3 broken barrels. So, 2 of these, go with 1 of these, that's all set. 2 of these 2, go with this, that's all set. That's 2 more Chelyabinsk. So we have 4 of them. I'm running out of bags, so I'm going to bag both of these together. I needed to do this. And I'm glad I waited until I painted a few, because I know what the kits consist of. So everything over there is complete sets. This is all we have left. Now I have an interesting problem. It doesn't look, I mean, these folks did a good job of taking everything from this gentleman and bringing it, because you can see I even have the 3 broken barrels, which, I'll be damned, they're not really broken. They just need to be epoxied back in. So this one is legitimately broken. Oh, this one, it's got a piece stuck in there. I bet with my skill set I'll be able to fix that. So we have 4 T-34s, 85s, 4 hulls, 1, 2. These don't go both ways, so they need to be opposites. So there's 1. These are the same. There's another. There's another. And there's another. So 4 more T-34 85s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, here's the catch. See this little half hatch? I don't have any of those. Now, I've built hatches for 2 Panzer IIIs that didn't have a hatch. Oh, these bastards again? Come on, man. I wish I could find out who that is so I could take a big dump on their doorstep. I gotta click on this, and then I gotta go here. I gotta watch this ad. And I gotta come over. All right, I can't use that. I can't use the mouse pad. It likes to click when I'm not even clicking. Report. Should put child abuse. Guaranteed that link probably has underage porn or some shit like that. All right, back to where we were. Okay, so on the Panzer IIIs, there's 2 Panzer IIIs I had to build a hatch out of piece of plastic, so I'm sure I could do it here. It doesn't bother me any. So we'll put these together. And of course, they don't have any towing things on here, but not having the machine gun doesn't bother me. I've broken a fair number of machine guns and replaced them with sprue. I didn't realize that these had just fallen out with epoxy. That's a lot better than them all being broken. Okay, so there you have it. I have no spare parts. That is weird. I would have thought for sure I would have had half pieces or something like that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, couple things. Let's take a look at what we got here. T-34s, we could use 10 of them. We got 8 of them here, and 4 Chelyabinsk ones. These are ones that would have been around at Kursk. The more common ones around Kursk. So we're not worried about the T-34-85 right now. Let's pull out my book on the T-34-85 and find out make sure what the Chelyabinsk were used in this area. I'm going to, oh, not too bad. We're going to sanitize. Oh, wrong one. Couldn't see it in light. Technical stuff, but I'm not worried about the technical stuff. Stuff I've had for 25 plus years or so. All right. I don't think I'm going to find anything super useful in a quick look here. I want to see if there's any drawings, any illustrations here that would be uber interesting. Okay, here is a Mickey Mouse with the fuel things. Here's 2 of them with the fuel things. That one has fuel things and that one has containers. And we don't care about Panthers right now. We don't care about the SS. Screw those guys. Oh, what's the... No, this didn't talk numbers. Just stats on the vehicles. Yeah, we know all that stuff. Okay. I figured that would be about that useful. Let's take a look at this. Actually, I bet I could get away with doing something. Let me try something that would be pretty cool if I could pull it off. Look at that. Look at that. I don't have to flip the book for me. I flip it for you guys in the image, and I mirrored image it. That is pretty cool. That deserves a drink of coffee. Excellent. Concord Publications, I believe, is what this one is. From the Military Book Club, yeah. I did quite a few of those things back in the... Oh, this is 1997. All right, let's see if there's any cool... These tend to have really nice illustrations. Not so worried about the black and white stuff as much as... Of course, all this stuff is available online now. Here's an SU-100. T-34 85s. Yeah, see, I could totally see doing a whitewash like this on one. You know, don't put it on a snow terrain. You know, just put it somewhere where it's, you know, muddy or what have you. This is the Model 40. This is the Model 43. And as it says here, this is an Autumn 44. Let me get these guys out of the way. This is an Autumn 44. In Autumn of 44, this is a terrible vehicle. Because you just can't penetrate panthers and tigers. You're not really going to encounter that many tigers. But panthers, you know, they made as many panthers as they did 4-H's. So you're going to encounter panthers if you're going to encounter a tank. That gun just can't deal with the front of a panther. You know. But these guys can. So, mine rollers. Here's the Chelyabinsk turret. It has like a little dip in it. We're not doing any captured vehicles. I've seen this one before. These are all the ones with the, you see the mixed rain gear here. You've got rubbers on the ends, and then the steels in the middles. I remember reading one of the accounts of Kursk, and they had on the southern salient, the rightmost German division, I believe, was the 6th Panzer. The rightmost Panzer division at the bottom of the bulge was the 6th Panzer, and I believe that I read that they started at nightfall, and they led their columns in a tank, and their lead column was a captured T-34, just to kind of throw them off, you know? You like that tan green. I do too. And I'm going to do some of them. I just need to do some boring green ones before I start doing crazy shit right off the bat. Yeah, so it looks like all of these have a mixture of the running gear. They have no fuel containers here. They have boxes on the back. Boxes on the back. You have any earlier vehicles than that? No, that's all the color plates. So the no color plates for early. Yeah, see, there's some whitewash things like this. Even if you did this in this method. See if I can get that shine out of there. Even if you did, and you try to copy this looks shitty. Like, I don't care if you reproduce that, it doesn't look right. It looks like garbage. You know, it looks like you don't know how to paint and you did a sloppy job. Even if you show somebody this picture, just like, I don't want that. I'm not interested. Here's some T-28s. Yes, these early tanks have no fuel stuff. Nothing. They're just like rushed out there and got taken out. And if you do whitewash, the bottom of the whitewash, like this, ends up, being mud colored in no time. Here's an early tank with all steel road wheels. Which I don't have any of those. Yeah, look at this, barren. No fuel things, nothing. Here's the handles that they had for the tank riders. I think it makes it look a lot better, but I'm not going to go in and add them. That's just that's too finicky. They make kits that already have it on there. I think it adds something that's needed to them. Look at this mess. Look at how messy this thing is. If you painted this like this, it would look like shit. It might be realistic, but it just doesn't look, it looks like you don't know how to paint. I don't want any of those things on there. Lots of Mickey Mouse turrets. This one has all running gear. That's all rubber. Early winter of 43. Important prelude to the summer battle of Kursk. This is T-34 model 43. No, it's not. It's a 42. Knocked out, repaired before. Okay, so they had some that had the spoked all rubber road wheels. Well, the problem is if you use some from the T-34-85, then you don't have any for the T-34-85. Because I guarantee the T-34-85s are all rubber. They probably don't have a mixture of they got over their. You want them to be all rubber. The problem is if there's a rubber shortage. Yeah, the T-34-85s are all rubber mix. So, hey, we're not doing IPMS stuff. We're going to be that anal retentive. It'd just be nice to. Model 1940. Lilev. Oh boy. Your tanks look great. Thought trying some slogans for Helicon turrets. Yes, I will. I had to do basic stuff first. Absolutely. You see how many I got to do. I got a shitload to do. Let's not turn it upside down. I turned the whole view upside down. Yeah, I got 8 T-34-85s. Yeah, there's definitely going to be some slogans. There's no doubt about it. I'll hand paint them. It's easy. But I don't want to start off doing all the weird shit. You got to have now I've got 3 that are kind of, normal. So I could throw some other ones that are oddballs in there. There's one that's absolutely gorgeous. That I'm telling you, it's white and gray or whatever. It's just absolutely beautiful paint scheme. And most of them, unfortunately, look like this. They're just one color green with a minimum of things written on them. And it looks like I wasn't very creative, but, there's a time for creativity and a time for non-creativity. I need more caffeine in me to be more creative. Okay, these are the ones that came from Stalingrad, the STZs. And their plate's a little bit different. And it looks like they have all steel running gear. Well, I don't have any that have all steel, so. And some of these supposedly went into action without even paint on them. So, which I wasn't aware that the Russians actually lost all. I think they had 3 tractor factories at Stalingrad, and they lost all of them. All of them were captured. Like the Germans captured, like, I'm not a big Stalingrad fan because I like combined arms, and, you know, city is a little too anti-tank-ish for me. And I was never really interested in the Stalin. I like that time period. I like that 41, 42, 43 time period. Just not a Stalingrad fan. So when I recently watched a program on it, a documentary, I wasn't aware that the Germans captured like 95 or 97% of this, some absurd amount of the city. I thought they captured like 2/3. Oh no, they basically captured the whole city except a tiny little spot. And when you get to that point, of course, you know, they get encircled, and then you know how that ends. But yeah, they took all 3 tractor factories. It wasn't a walk in the park, but oh, here we go. There's some beautiful artwork in this book. Let's see, which way can I flip this so you guys can see it? Okay, so here's a Model 41. This one's really cute. Yes, tanks can be cute. And you know it. This is a common slogan. This Ben, it almost looks like Ben. Have you ever been close to a real T-34? No. We actually took a trip on our way to Historicon to try to go find that all the tanks that were at Aberdeen Proving Grounds, but they moved them around. They moved them everywhere. They're not there anymore. So no, unfortunately, I have not. These are pretty. Okay, here's one that's captured by the Italians. Let's see how we can flip this so it's the right way for you guys. God, that glare off that light. Not doing any captured vehicles. Just no interest in it. I mean, you could capture them and then you just look the same as the Soviets. This one has a mixture of running gear. This is what I have a whole bunch of them on there. You got the saw there, typical on the side. So you can chop down trees. Once is surprised how crude the casting of the turret appeared to be close up. It's more likely like bay, meaning strike, hit. So what does this mean? Oh, we're going to need you. We're going to hire you for this stuff right here. Pon Katab. I don't know. Why can't you guys just use regular letters? Now, don't get me wrong. I think it looks cool, but I can't read it, you know? Take that up with authorities. Why can't you guys use regular letters? Even the Turks could do it. Look at this. This one has a whole litany of things. There's like a prayer there to Saint Cyril. Looks really cool. Looks really cool. Soviet vehicles look cool. My favorite my favorite thing in one of these books is there's an account about where the ammunition is stored on a T-34, and it's difficult to find in here. Otherwise, blame the Greeks. That's right. It looks cool. There's no doubt about it. Hebrew looks cool too. Arabic looks cool. You can't read it. You know, Arabic's even worse because they don't even use numbers. One of the accounts in here is, you know, you've got the ammunition that's in the turret, and then where the rest of the ammo is basically under this rubber mat on the floorboard. And I could just see that just being a disaster. Just a disaster in the making. Look at this. There's some other really cool stuff on here. Yeah, see, this is the latest version. They're putting a cupola on these hexagonal turrets. Flamethrower tank. How do you make a tank a flamethrower tank? Just change the little machine gun barrel. I got attacked by 3 of those the other day on the Ostfront game. Got to take them out at a distance. Su-85. I don't know who this artist is, but it's beautiful. Some really nice work here. Mine rollers. And then here's another Su-85. I'm not doing captured Polish vehicles. The first, I'm going to strike down the fascists. As far as I can see, second is something about tanks' geographical origin. Excellent. I'm sure I could find it, you know. I've got some sets that are in 1/35th scale for my 1/35th scale modeling, and we can use those as well. I like the white stripe. I do like it a lot. Of course, that means basically Battle of Berlin type of stuff. But I'm not doing any Polish vehicles. A44. I've seen that A44 one before. Here's a model of a T-34 next to a T-44. I'm sorry, a T-43, which is basically an up-armored T-34. And the first thing that strikes me is, look at the driver's hatches on the opposite side of the turret. The driver's position is the same as, you know, vehicles are in the United States, drive on the left. And it looks like this one was drive on the right. Interesting. Man, they got all kinds of stuff stuck to the outside. Yeah, here it is. Here's the one that talks about this ammunition. I love this story. The loader was located on the right side of the main gun. He was responsible for loading the main gun as well as a coax DTMG. The T-34 Model 42 carried 77 rounds, not too shabby, of 76.2 millimeter ammunition. This was raised to 100 rounds in the Model 43. There were 3 ready rounds stowed on the hull side near the loader's feet. So he's got 3 rounds right here in the ready rack, okay, and 6 more rounds on the opposite wall near the commander. So you got 9 readily accessible. The remaining 68 rounds were stowed. See if you can visualize this. The remaining 68 rounds were stowed in 8 metal bins on the floor of the fighting compartment. Okay. The standard combat load was 19 rounds of armor piercing, 53 rounds of high explosive, and 5 rounds of shrapnel. The ammunition bins that are in the floor were covered with a piece of matting to prevent them being accidentally kicked open or damaged, and the loader would have to pull the cover back to gain access to the ammunition. This was not particularly convenient, no shit, and some crews developed a routine with the front machine gunner helping the loader gain access to the forward bins. What a mess. What a total mess. Okay, we got anything on here? Let's go to the last one. All right. And then we're going to pull out some T-34s and start working on them so we can paint them on. This is really pretty. That's a pretty scheme on there. Old squadron signal. I got to be honest with you. I like the Soviet vehicles with little red star on them. A lot of them don't. I just think it adds a little pop of color. I happen to like it. BT-8, just a really good looking vehicle. I don't care if they weren't very good. I'm just painting them. Really good looking vehicle. I also admire a tank that's fast as shit. A light tank that is just a speed demon. Okay, here's the model 1940. Here's the difference in the turret, in the armor, in the armament. This is the T-50, isn't it? Yep. Another good-looking vehicle. They only made a few of them, and they used them in the Winter War, and it looks like this one got captured. Good-looking vehicle. T-34 enters combat. Okay, this 3A Podeni, I believe, is Zaradinu, right? I see that one a lot. And these two tanks stuck in a swamp. T-34s had pretty good ground pressure, so it had to be really, really soft for them to get stuck in that swamp. And good weight distribution. For as old as this book is, this is an excellent book. This is probably from the 80s. 81. Because it talks about all the differences and, you know, illustrates all the different stuff here. You know, the different turret styles and all that kind of stuff. The slogans remind me about a certain armored train that was built on donations from Moscow subway workers and fought under Kursk. Interesting. Okay, here's also the difference here of the Model 41. The Barricadi ones, which are the ones that are made in Stalingrad, they had kind of a lip that jutted out. I wonder if these are all Stalingrad ones. It looks like they are. It looks like this is a Stalingrad. Oh, interesting. Oh, we're going to have to do some of these unpainted. How many do I have? I got 7 of them. Oh, we might have to do some of these. They're just like turrets unpainted and shit like that. Not first, like the last one we do. Because it's going to look... Moscow subway. That's right. Nothing like taking an armored train. Okay. So that's what these guys are. They're the Stalingrad ones that came out of the Barricadi factory. Interesting. It looks really sleek in this picture. So the thing about the T-34 is that one of the things that made it unique is it had sloped armor. So you get more bang for the buck. The problem with the sloped armor is, and you don't think about this, or I don't think about this kind of stuff. You don't think generally with these tanks, you're like, oh yeah, how fast are they? What kind of gun do they have? What kind of armor they have? That's pretty much it. You don't worry about the range. You don't worry about that stuff. I mean, talking about as a war gamer. But fighting conditions, other than having obviously a 2-man turret, the problem with having sloped armor is it cuts on the area that your troops, your crew can fight in. So if you're looking at something like this at the end view, you've got this area where the turret slopes over here that you can't fit a man in because it's sloped. I mean, you'd have to crawl underneath it. So instead of like the German tanks having a vehicle that you can fight all the way up to the edge, this one you lose about, I don't know, what is it, a sixth of it here and another sixth there. So it reduces the space you can put things in, which is probably why they ended up putting the ammunition in the floorboard and things like that. That's not a knock. That's just, you can't have everything. If you make a heavier tank, you got to put a bigger engine in it, or it goes slower. That kind of stuff. So there's a cause and effect to everything. And that's just something you don't think about very often. Is you've got a much more restricted area for your crew to operate in. Doesn't mean it's bad, it's just different. So, okay, so here's a turret, 1942 production from STZ. And STZ was the, let's see. STZ is this one, okay. 1942, an improved welded turret was developed at STZ. With a cutaway chin and thicker armor and was used in Model 4142, a hybrid vehicle produced at STZ, including some simplified features which were later adopted for Model 42. As can be seen on this vehicle, the new driver's hatch has 2 flap-covered visors. The new hammerhead toe shackles is fitted. I'm not worried about toe shackles. That's too extreme. Oh, that's this one right here. That's this particular model here. But I love this illustration because it really kind of details some changes on there. I didn't realize those were I had the Barracotti ones. The interlock glacis armor of the STZ assembled T-34 is also evident. This vehicle has been fitted with 10mm of added armor on the hull front. Okay, I can see it right here. And the turret slogan is Za Stalina, for Stalin. Yeah, another mustached dickhead. The stowage in the middle of the fender is a clump of ice cleats in the spare track sections. Okay, this stuff right here. Just off the picture here. Okay. The modified F-42 gun mantlet provided by Barracotti came to a sharp point in contrast to the blunt nose produced at Zavod No. 92 and Gorky. STZ benefited from the modernization program initiated by Morozov's GBP-34. The production model was something of a hybrid. Hence, it's been referred to as the 34, 41, 42. This variant used many of the new features developed for the simplified Model 42. Noticeable section was in the rear area where the old rounded-off hull was retained and was rectangular. Okay. So STZ. Yeah, that's what this is. Because it's got this back plate that looks the same. You got rivets around the edge. You got one rivet in the middle. You got rivets along the edge. That's this one. This is an STZ tank. In 41, they didn't have that front. Okay, I think I'm splitting things. Here it says the Model 41 had the straight flap, which is what the miniature of the 40 comes with. All the other ones come with the round one, the rear end modification. Yes, look how much better it looks like with the grab handles. I think it looks a lot better. It just adds something there. Now, it would be a pain if you had to put like a slogan or something on there because you have to paint underneath it, you know. Oh, now I see the difference in the toe shackles. They're significantly different. This as opposed to... This is what I'm used to seeing. I don't know that I've seen those. I doubt that takes all that into effect. All right, let's see if we can find some Chelyabinsk turrets. Here's the mixture of the running gear. Fall 42 production. Yeah, this doesn't look like it's got any markings. You got to have some markings. You got to identify them between, you know, vehicles. Here we go. This is the stuff you want to see. This pattern just looks wrong. It just looks wrong. It's like a whitewash, but then they took like chicken wire or something like that and sprayed over it. I am going to do one of them in that beautiful paint scheme with the grays. It's just freaking gorgeous. Looks like a yak fighter. It's really, really pretty. Don Cossacks. Model 43. Oh, so this says Marshal Choibalsan. Marshal Choibalsan, Revolutionary Mongolia. 112th Tank Brigade, 6th Tank Corps Oboyan, March 43. Okay, so you got the little diamond pattern, and it's got 112. That's the 112th Tank Brigade. There's a little 1 below it. I wonder what the hell that means. Maybe it's Tank 1 in the Tank Brigade? This one means Stalinites. The bed spring armor. The bed spring armor on the side of the turret that they used in Berlin had tried to stop Panzerfaust. You basically get hit by a Panzerfaust, you're roasted. I don't care what you get hit where. I believe I had the exact same decals as Donskoy Cossack on my T-34 scale model. Yeah, there's a lot of these that get repeated, you know. It's an attractive camouflage scheme, you know. Some of these with the creative lettering and stuff like that, I can see why they're repeated. No. Germans having a party, street party here under the T-34. T-34's got some white identification markings on the top. It's like a triangle. Knocked out in Stalingrad fighting, has a white triangular air identification marking with a yellow circle in the center. Oh, interesting. And the remnants of a white band around the edge of the roof. Okay, so you got a white band around the edge of the roof and a white triangle. Okay, that's cool. Is that what I called it? CHTZ? Look at this. Things you don't remember for 20 years. Here's the Chelyabinsk CHTZ. There it is, CHTZ. I haven't looked at it in 25 years or something like that. So I was doing 1/35th scale modeling. Here it is. See if it talks about where they use that turret. I'm probably going to make every single one of those that can use that turret to go ahead and use it, because it's only 4 of the 6 or 8 or something like that. And it looks nice. Okay, this is getting into T-34-85 land. I guess enough of you guys are enjoying this deep dive into the T-34s. Hey, it's cool. Just like Shermans. Shermans don't get a whole lot of love either. You know, all tanks are important. Let's see what it talks about. Okay, I bet it's here. Here it is. Okay. Nizhny Tagil had been reluctant to introduce any substantial changes to T-34 aside from manufacturing shortcuts. Due to the desperate need for tanks in the front in the summer of 42, with the factory relocation behind them, they completed their first major modification of the T-34, the Model 43, also sometimes called the 42-43 to distinguish it from the same type with the addition of a cupola. The 34 Model 43 in its initial form was identical to the preceding model except for a new hexagonal turret, which was derived from the abandoned T-34M project. The new turret was added to improve the habitability of the vehicle. Earlier models had been very cramped, and this affected crew performance. Other changes followed suit, most noticeably the thickening of the frontal armor to 60 mil. This type entered production at Zavod number 183, UZTM, and CHTZ in the fall of 42, and entered combat in time to see action around Stalingrad. It proved to be the most numerous of all the 76mm armed versions of the T-34, remaining in production until the spring of 44. You believe the CH in CHTZ is a single sound. 99% stance. Yeah, Chelyabinsk. Yep. Yeah, which was a factory that was over by in the Urals. While the hexagonal turret in the Model 43s were basically similar in appearance, there was slight assembly differences between them. The most easily recognizable among them was produced at Chelyabinsk. The whole upper turret was a single casting with a pronounced rounding around all edges of the turret roof and peculiar dip, which is, you can't see it in this picture, it's right in the middle of it, along the lower rim of the turret. There were three other styles of hexagonal turrets, all nearly identical in appearance, produced at various turret casting subcontractors. They are distinguishable by careful examination of the joint between the lower forward edges of the turret side and the turret ring casting. Needless to say, there were no Soviet designation changes for such trivial differences in detail, but for the sake of convenience, the drawings and photo captions here refer to these different castings as hard-edged, soft-edged, or laminate style. Progressive improvements in T-34 Model 43 were very numerous. Several of the factories had adopted the all-metal road wheel developed in STZ, but problems occurred with its use. It accelerated the wear on the tracks, and a clattering, of metal on metal when in motion set up harmonic vibrations which loosened parts. To solve the problem, a rubber rim road wheel was frequently mounted at the front and rear, leaving three steel in the center, which is what all those models happen to have. There's a standard factory arrangement, except those the factories where rubber supplies became plentiful again. It was during this period that a new style pierced rubber rim road wheel was adopted. A new 5-speed clutch and modified transmission was added in conjunction with engine improvements, extended the time between repairs. Okay, this talks about captured equipment. Okay, so there you go. So, with that said, let's get some tanks out here. Start prepping them. We need like 10 of them for the Kursk scenarios. So let's see what we got in baggies first. These are 85s. These are a pair of potentially Chelyabinsk ones. That's a T-34 5. What the hell is this one? I think it's a T-34 5. Yep. That's a lot. Okay, this is another Chelyabinsk. We're gonna do another set of 3. Let's do another set of 3. 3 seems to be a good number. Okay, so here's a bag Chelyabinsk. Let's get a. So we have a variety. That is a let's just do 2. That way we have one of each kind. Because I don't think I want to use the Chelyabinsk ones as standard ones, because I can use that in all those. So let's just use a standard one from Skytrex and a Chelyabinsk one. Let's do 2. So this is a Skytrex one with a broken track, no problem. Let's just make sure we got all the pieces, parts in here. Let's get one. Let's do one that we know is a complete set, and then we'll know what's included in it. All right. And the funny thing is that I didn't, and we are going to do some with open hatches. There's no doubt about it. We're going to do some tanks with open hatches. I'm just not focusing that on them right now. All right. Man, these things have a lot of flash. This one even has a bend in it, which actually isn't that big of a deal. Okay, here's the turret. And these should scale about right to each other. We'll just epoxy that thing together and it'll be like no problem. It's funny, there's like a tow hook here, but this one includes tow hooks, so not really sure what's going on here. And they do come with a commander. Which doesn't look that bad. But remember, if the commander is poked out, there's nobody firing the gun. Because he is the commander and gunner. This has the mixture of running gear, which realistically, this waffle track should be on this vehicle as well. But if I did that, I don't have enough tracks for that kind of stuff. Really? What the hell just fell down? Well, it's got to be white metal. Probably tow hook. Alright, here's the turret that we're going to use for this thing. These should scale pretty close to one another. These are significantly nicer, even though that's a kind of a pretty big piece of flash that's on the side there. And this one has the fuel boxes. Which there's a couple different ways to mount them on there. Here's the headlight. Well, no wonder they give you instructions. Now the headlight goes over here. This has an earlier headlight there. Well, we're not going to worry about trying to correct the castings and stuff like that. We're just going to do them as is. And the interesting thing about it is that this hatch seems to be mismolded. It doesn't have the two things on the end. And another one in the other box was the same boat. Where's my tweezers? So I'm not going to rebuild that. It's just going to be what it is. See what it looks like if it doesn't look too distracting. Nah, it's not very distracting at all. All right, let's clean these guys up. Let's clean up the easy one first. Let's clean up the better quality one. Let's clean up the better quality one. All right. Glasses. How are we doing on time? You need this. Well, that's not going to work. Let's go back. And okay. And is this upside down or not? It is. So we will mirror image it here. Nope, now it's upside down again. There we go. All right. Let's look at the X-Acto knives. That's probably the better one. That one doesn't have a blade at all. That one's not going to work. X-Acto knives work a lot better when they have a blade in them. They're a lot safer to use, though, without one. You might need a rasp for that. And let's minimize this. Okay. SHQ. Here we go. Running gear. Do we have any heavy-duty clippers? We're using this one for corners. And fingernail clippers actually work really well for this. I've got an old one that's seen better days. And that's the one I like to use. And here it is. this is ultimately going to be hidden. Man, it says it's supposed to rain today, and I don't see that happening. It's pretty much a beautiful day out there. Any other flash on here? No. It's pretty much, there's a attachment point here between this and that. Okay. That's pretty much ready to go. Next one. Not much flash really at all. Now, I really dislike SHQ infantry. Their figures, they're just way too uninspiring, but if this is what their vehicles look like, they're pretty darn nice. I have some SHQ infantry and I hate them. They all have the same equipment. They're all just boring poses. But I guess they've been around a while, so I guess they're doing something right for a lot of people. Okay, those are done. I'm not worried about the hexagonal turret. Very minimum of flash here. And we're not going to mess any fenders up or anything on these. I'll leave that for the next one that we do. Let's just build these straight right out of the box. Do the weird shit later. That's pretty much it. This thing's got nice detail on it. This could be two of the tanks that come in with those tank riders on them. In that introductory scenario I was talking about. I call it an introductory scenario because there's not a whole lot going on, but Now that fits in there, but this prod doesn't fit great in there. So I think I'm going to take these little prods and we're going to file them down a little bit. Well, that's definitely moving in the right direction. While I do like the weight of this white metal, I actually prefer this to be in plastic. It's just a lot easier to work with. Okay. Alright, we're going to draw out the barrel. It's a nice little change, honestly. Like I said, it doesn't have to be very deep. Just needs to give the illusion of depth. What rules did I plan on using? A set of rules called the Face of Battle. They came out about 20 years ago and they're out of print. They have some PDF stuff, some stuff you can buy online, PDF, but the core rules are no longer available. And they're really close. I got them when they came out. They're really close to the game I was working on. I was creating kind of my own game. The main difference between it and the way my game was operating is they do, when you have infantry fire, if you have like a rifleman shoots at another rifleman, it's all percentile, but the hit and effect are concentrated in a roll. Whereas I was, do you hit the guy and then what effect does it do? Theirs was anywhere between, wounding him, wounding the other person, and giving him a morale check is all included in the same die roll. Well, it saves a little bit of time, but I had a slightly different way of going about it. But it worked. They're not fast moving, but they do develop a good narrative, which is what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in running games at conventions for this. I actually don't care if they're out of production. They're not everybody's cup of tea, but and I plan on modifying them if something doesn't seem right in them that we don't like. So I'm not really sure how long they were in production, but some people have heard about them, some people haven't. I stepped away from World War II for about 20 years, so I really don't know what transpired in the process. Would not have put it there. Let me see. Here it is. But there's no point in having all these little specific things to all these vehicles, and then all the vehicles get treated almost the same. Oh, it's A-class armor. But what is that? That just stuff isn't for me. That stuff isn't for me. I like rules that deal with real life numbers, so you're actually learning something as you're playing the game, whether you even intend to or not. You can't help it. Okay, this thing sits up here like this. I think whatever fell out of that bag was just flash. Now I'm going to take a bigger drill bit. And deepen the hole so it'll fit in there a little better. Wish this chuck wasn't so damn big. It's hardly, that other side of the pin vise is hardly usable. Enjoyed watching Deep Dive. Thank you. Time to cook breakfast for the family. All right, man. Thanks for stopping by. As always, we should be back on tomorrow morning. I got about 20 minutes left of me, and then I got to get ready. Got stuff we got to do out, so control this as well. It's really productive for me. I was able to take an inventory of what we have. I can't believe all that stuff was complete. That's hard to believe. Well, they did a good job of finding everything. There we go. That fits in there nicely. And these tow hooks should also fit in there nicely. Yep. Yep. Okay. Machine gun tow hooks. This little piece. Oh, there's tow hooks for the back. Well, that may have been what fell. I'm not worried about it. There's going to be so dirty back there you won't be able to tell. I can't worry about everything. Jeez. This. I feel like I need to give this thing a little bit more of a ledge. I actually enjoy this part a lot. This tinkering. You know why? I don't get it. I don't have to have this done by a convention or anything. I get it done when I get it done. Yeah. Let me make it a little bit deeper, maybe. Okay, thanks for stopping by. Okay, so this is ready to epoxy there. The hatches will epoxy them as well. Tow hooks, all that stuff's ready to go. Let's clean up the fuel tanks. This is one hell of a piece of flash right here. I'd be in trouble if I felt like what I sounded like. I don't feel bad at all, but I sound like, you know, not good. Okay, and this is going to fit like this. I believe it goes on either side of the mufflers. Like that. And the other one. Fuel boxes, they call them. And it's funny, it has all this nice detail, but then the detail on the grating here is kind of sorry looking, but this thing's pretty ready to go. Let's do the same thing with this other one. Man, this thing looks crude as shit when you're looking at the other one then. See if we can't straighten. Well, actually won't look bad with that bend in the side. I'm actually going to keep that. Yeah, see this is what we need to take out. This big piece of flash that's right there. So we're just going to come down. I hate doing this part. We're going to cut it into slivers. I didn't do this with the last one. I think this is going to be better. I suspect these molds are really, really old. Actually, I'm going to go ahead. Let's straighten that up. After I said I wasn't going to fix it. I can't be trusted. Talking out of both sides of my mouth. This is what I had to do with the other 3 T-34s. One of these has grinding on the edge. It's this one. I thought this was going to leave these scratch points on it, but it didn't. I was pleasantly surprised. So this is the part where plastic is a lot easier to work with than this. And this, of course, will glue like that. And this one as well. Yeah, it worked pretty well. I've had this file a long time, and it works better than all the other ones. Probably a case of they don't make things like they used to. Let's chop the end of this off. Actually, where is it? Here. Okay. Okay. I think we're pretty much set. So we'll epoxy these things later. I gotta call it this one we've been on here 2.5 hours. Yeah. Thanks for joining me on the deep dive. And we did some really productive stuff today. And these will be the next 2 tanks you see coming up, is a couple T-34s for curse time period.